Hello everybody, welcome to the second installment of our ongoing series on how to build a Lord of the Rings game table. In the first supplement that you guys saw, we discussed the objective behind this project as well as the supplies that are going to be used to build the board itself. For this edition, we are going to discuss the building of the board itself, the foundation or the skeleton. This is where we take the polystyrene, the foam board, and the MDF board and put it all together to make hills, rivers, things like that. So this is, I think, the most important piece of the project, mainly because the scenery that you put on here has effects in the game. So it becomes more strategic because you have to climb hills, you have to go over rivers, things like that. So this is the important section. It's also the most fun section because you get to do a lot of things. So before we jump into that, I just want to quickly mention the starting point of any project really lies in the inspiration. So for me, it's music and video and stuff like that. And with Lord of the Rings, there's really a lot of stuff out there. Obviously, you have the 3 books, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Those are pretty good to start with. Then, of course, you have the 3 movies, and the scenery that Peter Jackson filmed is great to use and to copy. So we're going to try to do that. We've been watching the movies. And then there's also music. This is a CD by Blind Guardian. They are a metal band from Germany. The entire album's based on Lord of the Rings. So we play this when we're building stuff, so it just kind of adds a little bit to the atmosphere. What do you think, Zasha?
Cool.
Man, a very few words. Okay, so next, let me show you the board and go from there. So let's go down here, take a look. Now, the first thing we did is, you can't see it, we mounted the pink insulation foam on MDF board. MDF is just a very thin hard board. You can get it at Home Depot. It's very light. And this just provides a solid backing so that the foam obviously doesn't break and snap when you press down on it. We then bought 2 by 8 foot sheets of insulation foam. You can get this anywhere at Home Depot, Lowe's, and that was cut to fit this into a 4 by 4. That was glued down as well, and what I used for that, it's called Liquid Nails. It is a construction adhesive, very powerful, and anything you tack will stick and you won't have any issues with it. So once we had it glued solid, we started drawing out a map of the board, kind of what we wanted it to look like. So Zasha's going to zoom in on some of these things, if you can see the markers. Here we're showing lines indicating hills going up in levels and in height. We have these dotted lines to represent our pathways, which we're going to do via sand and painting to show it being worn. We also marked the river with lines so we could kind of see where that's flowing. And then here in the middle we have hills here and there. So once we had it down and we constantly erased, and it's a lot of testing, and to keep stuff in mind, you always want to have a model handy. Obviously, this game is based on a scale, this being 28 millimeter. Whenever you're carving hills or creating terrain, you want a model so that you can test and see to make sure nothing is out of proportion and everything fits right, because otherwise it might look a bit weird. So once we had all that done, we started on the first step, and this is creating the river trench. And of course, this is something I've never done before. So this was a new test. Rather than carving into the foam with a knife or something like that, I went to Home Depot and I bought myself
A melta.
a melta. So anybody within 6 inches of me, I get 2d6 armor penetration, and it's AP1. Gaming jokes and commentary aside, this is a heat gun, and it emits heat to very high temperatures. So all I did was hold it about this high off of the board, and the foam actually melted. It bubbled up and then melted downwards, and it created this depression. I think I hit it a little too hard because I have all these bubbles but that shouldn't be an issue. We'll cover it with sand. So that was actually a good story. Everything worked out well on that. I was quite happy with it. The next step is carving the hills themselves. So we'll just do a quick demo. This is another type of foam cutter. It heats up this little wire through batteries, and that allows us to carve through the foam. You can probably hear that. That's the foam melting. And you probably can't see it, but there's a lot of wisps of white smoke coming from this. And
you do not want to breathe that in.
Yes, you want to do it in an open, well-ventilated area, or have a fan handy, something like that. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll just go with it.
Hopefully you won't die.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see. Probably not. But if you can see, it carved a nice beveled edge into the foam. And this is going to be used then for hills, so it's not just a straight up, you have a nice steep incline. And then of course you can go again, you can carve even more into it. The other thing you can do, I mean the possibilities are endless, but you can also create jagged cliff edges simply by moving it back and forth like this. And you have like this lays ruffled effect. But really you can do anything with these things, anything with heat. So that covers that. Now, we've already built most of these, so let me put them on the board. This one over here. This one goes here. And now on this piece, based on our drawings, we were going to have some stairs carved into this hill. What I did was I carved a rectangular piece out of the foam, and then I took the wire cutter and actually made steps going up. And then all you do once you have that is you put it right back in, and you have steps that are flush with the hill itself. And that sits right there.
That gives it a good level of detail too.
It does, and of course it helps your models, so they probably have a better chance of climbing up those than they do up a steep side. We have a hill that sits here, hill in the corners, and then one more back here. Alright, so that's how it looks. Obviously there's still a lot of cracks everywhere, but that'll be fixed by our next video, which will cover texture and plaster and stuff like that. That'll make all these seams go away and make it seem seamless. And that'll be the next step. That'll be a quick one, so there won't be much to discuss. Last but not least, I went out and got Games Workshop's new terrain piece. It's the ruins of Osgiliath, which is the city that's besieged by the forces of Sauron in Return of the King. It's the midway between the Mordor territories and Minas Tirith. So that's going to sit right here. It's going to provide some nice cover over the center of the board. It's going to be a great objective and great to battle over. Other than that, I think we covered everything. Any questions, feel free to let us know. And like I said, next video we'll focus on sealing and all the other type of stuff. So now you know.
And knowing is still half the battle.
Yo, Joe.